Hello, I'm AD Hobbs, and this is Battlestar Galactica, episode 22, Experiment in Terra. Now that title sounded vaguely familiar to me. I thought, where have I heard that before? And then I found out, I did some research. Yes, in the 1960s, I haven't actually seen the film personally, there was a film starring Lee Remick, and it was called Experiments in Terra, as in terrifying, as in the scary word terror, yeah. Experiments in Terror. So this is a pun on that title, Experiment in Terror. It's spelt differently, Terror. But then a lot of episodes of this show, the title is a pun on something else. In this case, the pun, it's called Experiment in Terror, as in the planet Terra, spelt Terra. Now, okay, some of these episodes have nothing to do with previous ones. Well, this one does. Yes, this is definitely connected to previous episodes. And I distinctly remember not remembering this. Okay, I'll explain what I mean. When I was 7, I was starting to lose my faith in Battlestar Galactica. I decided to miss a few episodes, and this is one of the ones I missed. And I remember playing with my toys, and my mum came in the room and said, Battlestar Galactica's on. And I said, well, thank you for telling me, but no, I'll give it a miss this week. I decided to miss a few episodes because it wasn't as great as I once remembered, yeah. 10 years later, when I was 17, I thought, that's stupid. That's silly missing the odd episode, because for all you know, you might have missed the best episode ever. So yes, when I was 17, I decided to see all episodes when they were repeated on the telly again. And yes, saw this one, yeah. And okay, spoiler alert, the glowing space station with the angels has returned. We see it again, yeah. So we see it one more time in action. Anyway, the Colonial Vipers have been given orders to follow the destroyer that escaped in the previous episode, which isn't too hard because they can do the speed of light, whereas, Eastern Alliance have yet to discover speed of light. So they're on their way following the destroyer to, I think, Luna 7, I believe, so one of the colonies of Terra. But on the way, Apollo is delayed, yes. His spaceship, he sees the glowing space station with the angels. He hears that high-pitched noise, yeah, and his spaceship is sucked in the tractor beam, and it goes on board the glowing space station with the angels on board, yeah. While this is going on, the other Vipers, where's Apollo gone? What are we going to do? He goes, well, we get on with the mission and try and find Apollo. We do both, yeah. So on board the space station, yes, we see Apollo, and we see, one of the angels, he's given a less glowy appearance to make him look more human so he can appeal to Apollo. And is played by the same actor that was in Knight Rider. He played Michael Knight's boss, yeah. So yes, in Battlestar Galactica, there are connections. There's a connection with this and Knight Rider, a connection with Star Wars, Star Trek, Lost in Space, and a connection with Airwolf. Yeah, so a lot of connections. Oh, and a connection with Flash Gordon as well, because the actress that went on to be in Flash Gordon, Melody Anderson, she's in this. So that's a lot of connections, yeah. Anyway, it's quite a complicated story, so I'll abbreviate as best I can. Basically, the angel is simply called John, a reflection of intelligence. Nobody can see him outside the glowing space station. Oh, except for Apollo, because he's been there before and his uniform's turned white. And he says, we must save the planet Terra. So, Galactica people more advanced than Terra, and the angels much more advanced than Galacticans. So they're all really advanced, totally different civilizations, but there is a connection between all three. And Apollo says, why must I save the people of Terra? And John says, because what affects them in the future will affect you and will affect us. So we must help them, yeah. And then he says to Apollo, but you have to give a big political speech on planet Terra, but they won't believe you because you're not one of them. So we're going to make you look like one of them. You will see your own face. They will see the face of a person that they're familiar with, yeah. Wait a minute, isn't that like Quantum Leap? Yes, the lead character knows little or nothing about a group of people, but he's given the face of them, so they listen to him, so they acknowledge what he's saying because they think he's somebody else. But this idea did it before. Oh yes, and incidentally, the creator of Quantum Leap was involved in a lot of episodes of Battlestar Galactica. So yes, I guess they're experimenting with the idea, and then years later made that a whole TV show, yeah. Anyway, Apollo agrees to do it. Well, first he thinks it's a dream and it's not happening. Then when he's back in his Viper, his uniform's turned white, yeah. And then he meets Melody Anderson, who plays a character called Brenda. She's in a futuristic car, like a hover car, anti-gravity travel. Except it's not. It's just a regular normal car, but it's filmed in pitch black, so we can't see the wheels. Yeah, that's to save money on the special effects. Anyway, Brenda recognises Apollo and calls him Charlie Watts. Charlie Watts, isn't that the drummer in the Rolling Stones? And the Rolling Stones were very famous when this was made. That is silly, that is cheesy. Why don't they call him Ringo Starr or Keith Moon? You know, that's silly calling him that. Well, I don't know. For whatever reason, he's called Charlie Watts, and someone that's well known on planet Terra, yeah. And Brenda's like his girlfriend, and she wants to help him with his mission. Apollo doesn't fully understand what his mission is yet, because John the angel, who appears now and again and vanishes, and then comes back, he's very mysterious, doesn't give very specific answers as to what his mission is, just that it's very important, yeah. And then afterwards, Apollo ends up locked in a prison somehow. Goes, oh, great. How can I save a planet from nuclear disaster when I'm locked up here? That's no good. While this is going on, Starbuck, in his Viper, lands on planet Terra, and people there threaten to attack him, so he shoots them first. But he says, take note, I'm using it's on stun mode. My gun is on stun mode, so he only stuns them, doesn't kill them. Anyway, the Terra authorities that want to attack him, they're wearing BMX masks. Was that, again, to save money on the budget, just wear BMX masks? Yeah. Do they think no one's going to notice? I mean, BMX was a thing at the time when this was made, but there we are. There were a lot of cutting of corners, yeah. Anyway, then the angel appears to Starbuck and says, yes, you must help your friend Apollo to save planet Terra. And he touches his shoulder, angel on my shoulder, and then he turns all white as well, yeah. He goes there, and other prisoners have gone in there, including General Maxwell, that's Brenda's father. And Starbuck, he helps Apollo escape, and the other prisoners too. Because he does that, they don't think Apollo was a spy. If he was, he would have killed us already. So by doing that, he's earned the trust of General Maxwell, so that's good. And then Starbuck goes back in his Viper, outside the planet, sends a signal to Galactica, we need your help quick, there's going to be a nuclear war, you must get here quickly. Right, so the Galactica's involved now, and they go as fast as they can to get to the planet Terra, and they go at the speed of light. But apparently they haven't been at the speed of light since they left the 12 colonies. That was months ago. But needs must, it's urgent, this mission, so they go as fast as they can at the speed of light. Wait a minute. Okay, so they haven't been at the speed of light for some time. So that means in all the previous episodes, all those different planets the Galactica visited, it didn't go at the speed of light to go to all those different planets. Well, the planets must be very close together then, if a light speed is unnecessary. Very close indeed. All that exploration, they didn't do the speed of light. Well, apparently the Galactica can only use the speed of light as an emergency. Wait a minute. They've been on the run from the Cylons, flying for their lives. Isn't that an emergency? Yes, go at the speed of light for that, but no. Until, the first episode, but they haven't been the speed of light at all until now. Okay, so only use it as a last resort. Most science fiction space adventures, they go at the speed of light on a regular basis. Well, not Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica is a bit different. Oh yeah, and in Star Trek V, when the Enterprise goes to see God, the fans didn't like that. So that's silly, that's out of place. These characters would never visit a god or angels or anything like that. It's not out of place in Battlestar Galactica. Yes, this is different. This is not Star Trek. So the characters interacting with aliens, that is not against Battlestar Galactica law. Anyway, it's already happened. The nuclear attack has started. Loads of missiles from the Eastern Alliance are going to nuke out the other half of the planet. But in the nick of time, Starbuck has to get out of the way in his Viper away from the planet. The Galactica gets to the planet Terra, has this super cool laser gun, like an ionosphere. It fires the beam on the planet Terra, and it destroys all the missiles in the air. Yeah, this cool weapon that can destroy loads and loads of nuclear missiles, so nobody is killed. That's a pretty cool action sequence. Just one slight problem. If the Galactica had this ionosphere weapon all along, why has it never used it before? Think about it. All those episodes when 100 Cylon raiders came to attack the Galactica, why didn't the Galactica use the ionosphere weapon to destroy all of them? Yeah. That doesn't make sense, does it? Yeah. If you had this incredibly useful weapon before, why did you never use it in a previous episode? Yeah. Anyway, they stop nuclear war. Then Apollo gives this speech saying, you've had a warning, a threat of a nuclear war. My people, the 12 planets, they've been utterly destroyed. So it's not unique, planets being destroyed. It's happened before. And he says how, I always used to think the opposite of war was peace. But sometimes the opposite of war is slavery. So now that you have peace, that's not enough. In addition to that, everyone have their freedom, yes, so they'll all be happy, so a war won't start again. Then after that, General Maxwell, because he vouches for Apollo to the president, says he's an important person, and then Apollo has to leave. But General Maxwell says, no, don't go. No, there's so much more we can learn from you. And Apollo says, we have helped you, but there are rules. There's only so much my people are allowed to tell you because of the risk of culture shock. You know, the culture shock could be an even bigger problem than war, yeah. So we've told you as much as I'm allowed to. Now, the rest is up to you. Yes, figure it out for yourself. A bit like the Star Trek Prime Directive. You're not allowed to interfere with cultures. You can interfere a teeny tiny bit, but there are rules to how far you can go. You don't have the right to develop another culture, yeah. You have the right to help them, but that's as far as it goes. Anyway, so the story wraps up, and then Apollo says to the angel John, before you vanish, you must tell me, is this planet Earth? He goes, no, it's called Terra, but it's not Earth. Oh, unlike Terrahawks. In Terrahawks, yes, Terra is another name for Earth. They're one and the same. Well, not in Battlestar Galactica. No, Terra and Earth are not the same planet. They're two different planets. And John says, your journey is not over. You haven't found the promised land yet. I'm only here to advise. The rest is up to you. So yes, an advanced culture helps Galactica. Galactica helps a primitive culture. Yes, so they're all connected. One issue that's never discussed, why don't any of the people on board the Galactica go and live on Terra? I mean, the war is over. There's lots of room, lots of place for them to live. Yeah, but no, that issue is never discussed. No, just this fascination with Earth. They're determined to get there. That's the promised land. That's where they'll have the happiest lives. Yeah. So yes, a lot of issues in here. A lot of, you have to help others, but you can't. The risk of culture shock. Yeah, it is quite a lot to take in for one episode. But finally, the big question is answered. Is it Earth? No, it isn't. It's just a planet with a similar name. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm Anthony Hobbs, and I'm never bored.